I saw this news article the other day, and it's actually quite inspiring. Denver successfully sent mental health professionals, not police, to hundreds of calls. Another U.S. city is reporting early success with a program that replaces traditional law enforcement responders with healthcare workers for some emergency calls. Previously, Denver 911 operators only directed calls to police or fire department first responders. Ooh. But then the Support Team Assistance Response, STAR. Isn't STAR the name of the thing in the Star People? Isn't that in Resident Evil, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, good. Pilot program created a third track for directing emergency calls to a two-person team, a medic and a clinician, staffed in a van from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays. The program, which launched in June, reported promising results in its 6-month progress report. The program aims to provide a person-centric mobile crisis response to community members who are experiencing problems related to mental health, depression, poverty, homelessness, or substance abuse issues. This is incredibly helpful. One of the things that I've said for a while, and I believe this to be true with lefties, is that we need to get a lot better at bringing about local change, because local change forms blueprints for broader changes. Denver police responded to, over the first 6 months of the pilot, Denver received more than 2,500 emergency calls that fell under the STAR program, and the STAR team was able to respond to about 748. No calls required the assistance of police, and no one was arrested. Denver police responded to nearly 95,000 incidents over the same period, suggesting an expanded STAR program could reduce police calls by nearly 3%, according to that report. So that seems like a relatively small amount, 3%. Especially since the STAR program was responsible for only 2,500, of which it only actually went out to about a third of those. The thing that you need to remember, though, is that this is an experimental program. What we really need to focus on is arriving at a collective understanding that police are not necessary for literally every interaction between the state and individuals. That's it, by the way. When we're talking like a person needs help, it's either the police or a fucking ambulance, or if you're in school and you stub your toe, it's a teacher. But that's it. Like, the actual range of responses between emergency requiring an ambulance and emergency requiring police officers is pretty broad. The police are there to arrest. The police don't enforce the law. The police's job, they're like little spooky ghosts that get sent out, and their job is to bring people suspected of breaking the law to the jail so they can be held until the time for the trial comes. That's their job. The police are there to shepherd the criminal element towards the justice system. Now, that's hypothetically like the range of their work. Obviously, in practice, police do way more than that, like significantly more than that. The police get called out for a ton of shit. The actual number of like violent crimes police get called out to, this is a very small portion of the actual work police do. And that's one of the reasons why defund the police, in my personal opinion, is a pro-cop position. If you interpret defund the police the way I do, at least, which is to scale back police funding along with police responsibilities so that those responsibilities can be divvied up amongst other institutions that could better handle them. Cops can't really handle mental health emergencies that well. We've seen people die on account of this, okay? They just can't, okay? Cops are taught to be twitchy motherfuckers, all right? And part of that, and I want to be clear because I'm trying to be even-handed about this, part of that is because a cop's job is difficult and stressful. I know maybe that's not popular in the lefty community to acknowledge that there's difficulty there, but there is. It can be a stressful job, and it really depends on where you're, working as well, because a cop's beat in Beverly Hills and a cop's beat in fucking Detroit, I mean, gotta be a lot of variance there. My school DARE officer, guy was on the force for like 20, 25 years, a very active cop too. And this guy never fired his gun. Well, not at a person. Never even had to draw his gun, according to him. Of course, he fired it at the range, but in his entire range of policing, he had never once had to draw a firearm. And of course, that's because he served in Beverly Hills, where there's very little violent crime. But in other parts of the country, police do have genuinely difficult and trying and dangerous jobs. And in those situations, cops develop a mentality Some of this is by necessity, and a lot of this is because of training that I don't like. You know, that like warrior fucking training where cops are taught like you're the wolf amongst sheep. Your predator eyes spot out danger from 1,000 yards. You know, like, yeah, killology, that shit. You know, whether it's because of killology or because the area the cop is in just has legitimately made that cop paranoid and nervous. These people aren't really in a position to respond well to a lot of other emergency calls. Mental health stuff, don't really think cops are great for that. I think a lot of homeless situations too, cops just aren't really the boys for the job. There are a lot of situations where cops just aren't the ones who probably should be sent out. The cops are the ones with the guns. They should be sent to situations where danger is anticipated. But while danger is always a possible outcome in an interaction between a person in crisis, and the state, it's very often not a likely outcome. And what we need to do is we need to expand our range of what types of tasks non-cops feel comfortable doing. Okay? Because as it is, there are a lot of people who legitimately believe that if you start sending out nurses and mental health experts and what have you, that they're all going to get like fucking gunned down. Like if we defund the police and redistribute responsibilities, it's going to lead to little like 27-year-old nurses who are going over for a mental health check and they're being sent to fucking Skid Row and they get gunned down from a broken out window on the 3rd floor by a guy who sells crack, like or something like that, you know? Obviously that's not even close to the majority of police interactions, but we need to experiment with what can be done. Have you seen the rate at which pizza delivery people get killed and robbed? Oh yeah, pizza delivery people, that's a dangerous job right there, which makes sense because as a pizza delivery person, you could be delivering to a very nice neighborhood or a very poor neighborhood. You don't carry a weapon. You often have money on you because you're doing pizza delivery. You have cash on you. And you have to go to the door. And you're alone, usually. As I understand it, I wonder if there are any neighborhoods bad enough where they have pizza delivery guys go in teams. Is that a thing anywhere in America? Maybe. I don't know. Arm your pizza boys. That should be a thing. Anyway, in all seriousness, the end of the article here says, overall, the first 6 months has kind of been a proof of concept of what we wanted. That makes me really, 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 really happy, okay? I've seen a lot of conflicting data about how police time is spent. I've seen some make claims that, like, responding to violent stuff is like 12% of what a cop's doing. I've seen some as high as like 26, like to 30%, whereas non-violent but otherwise necessary police actions made up like half. Even if we could reduce the load of cop responsibilities by 20%, broadly across the country with implementation of programs like these, I think that would be incredible. Not just because it would allow us to defund the police department a little bit, and every cop is expensive, by the way. From equipment to training to personnel and support, a cop is very expensive per day, you know, per individual, relative to a, you know, like a mental health expert or a professional or something like that. Cheap on the training, though? Yeah, well, you know, they're still expensive. But it's something that we could do, or it's something that we could work on. Plus, and this is important too, a lot of the problems we have with crime in this country are caused by a kind of recurring social dysfunctionality that's caused when we have problems and we fix or address them improperly, you know? It's that broken windows policing thing. You can police a community really heavily. I mean, you can police it so fucking hard that you put a lot of people in jail, but policing communities doesn't fix the communities. Not even close. Like, at all. What you do is you take away mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, children, which leaves holes in families. It makes it harder for people to make a living, cuts down on businesses and economic opportunity, drives down land value. The act of policing a community, while in some cases quite necessary, doesn't fix the underlying problems that are there. So maybe if more of a city's problems are being addressed by non-police, they're being addressed by crisis management experts or health professionals or whatever, maybe we can cut down on the number of problems that end with somebody being thrown in the back of a police car, and therefore we could lessen the extent to which interactions with the state perpetuate these social problems. I think that'd be good. I think that'd be preferable, personally, you know? So hopefully hopefully Denver's little experimental run there ends up leading to that type of program getting picked up elsewhere, STAR programs, which will also be helpful, of course, in the event of some kind of umbrella corporation zombie virus outbreak situation, in which case the mental health professionals will double as our, the people who will wander the zombie-laden streets and solve puzzles by putting large statues that they have to assemble from multiple pieces into doors with a statue-shaped hole to access the final boss, which is a very large zombie who was once a mad scientist who made themselves a zombie because they ran out of test subjects. Mm-hmm. End this bit, Weird Champ. Okay, fine. Only because you insist.